Hi, I'm Matt Wenning and we're at SuperTraining Gym today. And today what we're going to do is do a really hard warm-up with lots of volume. Then we're going to do speed squats. Once we get the speed squats done, we're going to go into heavy hamstrings, do a little bit of calves and a little bit of quadricep work. And here's where we're going to do it.
We'll sign it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to run the rack real quick.
Yeah, the answer is if a box squat works for raw squats is yes and no. Yes, if you already have a solid base of raw squatting and you keep raw squatting in your cycle a pretty good amount the rest or for the entire part of the year. So what I did to hit my best pinnacle raw squats was I would box squat low, box squat medium, free squat. Then box squat low, medium, free squat. As you can see, I never squatted a high box. And what I mean by medium is about a ½ inch below parallel. So the point is that the box squat, if you're sitting on it correctly, and if you're doing everything correctly to a box squat, your box squat should be harder than your free because you're taking away the downward upward phase as far as the transition point. So think about it in this perspective. A box squat should be like a paused bench, right? Most people can bench more touch and go than they can with a pause. And the box squat should be taught as a paused bench press. And that separates the downward phase from the upward phase, making the lift theoretically harder. But if all you practice is the box squat, your timing will be off when you go back to free. So I found that every 3 weeks, the free squat needed to be in your program. Try that 500 again. A couple weeks.
Next weekend.
Is there a meet around here? Speed squats is immense, and in some respects even more important than going heavy, because you're learning how to actually put maximal force in the bar on the other side of the force equation, which is acceleration. So if you think about it in this perspective, maxing is a way to go heavy light, by meaning that you're increasing velocity, but your force output is still the same. So when you get stronger, you're only gonna be able to do so many heavy squats in a month. The dynamic day allows you to squat hard on the other side of the force equation, double the amount of times and still heal from it. So you need the speed squats in order to maintain volume density throughout the month. Or if you're going heavy all the time, eventually you're gonna have to back off. So if you look at F equals M times A, one day you're working M, one day you're working A, you're still producing a shitload of force. So the point is that speed squats need to be implemented and they need to be utilized in your program to allow you to do more volume in a weekly basis.
Legs are so strong, you're being a little lazy with your back.
Yeah. I think that the reason I use my hamstrings is because I'm using my quads at a very hard rate as well. Most people, when they squat, they're going to go to one of their stronger muscle groups. Whereas you look at a guy like Mark or me or any advanced squatter, we use each muscle synergistically throughout the entire lift to do exactly what it's supposed to do.
Box squatting is a leg curl. Turn sideways so they can see your shins. Right here. Oh. When she sits on here, her shin's going to be passed straight up and down. See that? The only way she can get up is to pull with her heels. It's a leg curl. Now let people think, how many people ever heard it and said that? No one, right?
So what Louis calls kind of leg curling off the box or whatever that may be, what it actually is that you're using all muscles in synchronicity. And that means that the quad and the hamstring are both doing their due diligence. That way it's creating a balance. The way you can make a box squat more hamstring dominant is to actually go beyond vertical on the shins. So if I was here, right, this is gonna be a little more quad, but if I'm actually squatting with my shins backwards, it's gonna be a little bit more hamstrings. A great lifter to look at that for is Chuck Vogelpool. He might have been one of the only guys that I've ever seen their hamstrings was just as stronger than their quadriceps. But if changing shank angle or shin angle is going to change how much hamstring to quadricep ratio you're going to use on the squat. But the point of that is that most people are hamstring deficient, and that's what's keeping them from using all the muscles at maximum power output. To put it in line, I would go belt squats 1, then box squats 2. That way they can learn to stay tight at the bottom, and then free squats 3. So if I was in a perfect world and under no time constraint, I would teach somebody how to belt squat from the hips down, master pushing out and sitting back. Then once they're proficient with that, we go into a box squat so that they feel like they have something sort of comfortability sitting down to a box. And then once they're comfortable with that, we go full free squat. And I think if everybody did that particular loading pattern, you would see better form throughout the entire career, and then you would see bigger lifts because you'd be fighting less injuries. So today, we went through a pretty intensive warm-up. We used close to 400 pounds on the belt squat for sets of 25, reverse hypers to stretch the back out after a drive from Oregon, and then we did leg curls to make sure that the hamstrings were warmed up and potentiated. Then we went over to the camber bar. We used 120 pounds of chain and worked up to 325 in weight. Did about 4 or 5 sets for speed for triples. Once we got done with that, we hit some heavy hamstrings. The point was, is if you heard me say hamstrings twice, and Mark Bell also commented on how much hamstrings I use to squat. That balances out the quadricep and also takes the pressure off the back. Therefore, I was able to get out of an 8-hour car ride and still have an effective workout while also fixing my posture.